and this means effectively that people have to take care, and this means more time, and this means for you more cost. Now, more cost and more time is something which at that time had to be discussed, especially with you. And how would you argue? You would say, oh, well, really, she's not as bad as you say. No, I don't want her to switch from grade 1 to grade 2. And why was it like that? Because at that time, your co-payment, this means the individual co-payment of families, depended specifically on the grade of care. So as this was really awkward, you would argue, I don't want to pay more, so you find everything. Now, you look, she opens her eyes, and so you try to avoid that. And as an effect, you had many nursing homes where the management, where the nursing staff tried to avoid that, but it had a bad effect on profitability, because if somebody changes, let me say, from a need of grade 1 at that time to grade 2 or from 2 to 3, you need more care, you need more time, and I always explain them in my management time there, this is a form of self-exploitation and of minimizing profits for the company, because they have to do the work, but it's not paid. Now, this is a change. Everybody knows about 3 to 5 grades, but the real change is that now the grade of care is not depending on the co-payment, because the co-payment is the same for all grades. This is the real change in the regulatory environment. So you don't have to discuss with you if your grandmother is, now it will be more objective at that time. But on the other hand, it means that the discussion is now between the caretaker, so Aloheim and all the others, and the authorities. And this is something I also now want to explain a little bit deeper, because it has to be understood. Now, first of all, there is not a general tariff for everybody in Germany. There's one federal insurance company, federal, let me say, nursing agency, Pflegekasse, and this is for all Germany. But this is the entity which pays. But paying is not deciding. The decision is made in a way by province. So you have more or less 200 provinces, so big cities or province, and in every province you have a department of social affairs, and this department of social affairs, together with maybe the health insurance and so on, but normally that department is really discussing with you. And now again, I give you an insight to the German market, which maybe you have already, but it is important. You know that our market is divided between, let me say, the church institutions like Caritas and Diakonie, and let me say the non-for-profit organizations, at least formally, and the municipal organizations and the private caretakers. And really, the difference is quite big, because again, here you have, if you have, for example, if a municipality has a nursing home, the nurses, they are being paid according to a public tariff. So maybe you're a nursing home, so the big word is, you are stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And this depends on age, qualification, and a lot of things which are not important right now. But it has an impact, because in the end, you are classified as that and that, and then you receive that. This is relatively independent from the local market, which means that they have a big challenge in big cities, and they are overpaid in the countryside. Whereas the private caretakers, they do not have this kind of tariff. They simply pay according to market. But the effect is that in the end, you may have, and I had this situation, in some cities you have a nursing home, let me say 1 kilometer off the other, and one nurse is being paid as much as 300 euro per month less than in the other one. Now consider these are not high wages in that sense, so 300 euro really is a lot. But this is the effect of this kind of system. You can ask how is it possible that you get people to work? Well, people are looking. They are also looking.
So the nurses working in a public nursing home would be paid like 300 per month. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Now this is an example, but generally speaking, you can really argue that they are being paid much more than the others. But it is not always positive, because, if I pay you much more than the rest of the world, maybe you are not satisfied with your boss, but you stay in the company, because if I change, I earn much less. Yeah. So the rate of employee satisfaction sometimes is lower in the public institutions or in the welfare institutions.